Your heart just stopped. The monitor flatlines. Room goes loud. But inside your skull, something no one expected is happening. Your brain isn't shutting down. It's waking up. Doctors call it a gamma surge, a massive spike of electrical activity, bigger than anything your brain produced while you were alive, and it's firing in the exact region that controls consciousness. Dreaming. Being you. Over the next 7 minutes, your brain will do things that shouldn't be possible, and you might be awake for all of it. For a long time, the medical world assumed death was simple. Heart stops. Brain shuts off. Like a light switch. Done. But in 2023, a neuroscientist named Borjigin at the University of Michigan decided to actually test that. She put EEG monitors on 4 dying patients, people whose families had chosen to remove life support. And what those monitors picked up broke everything doctors thought they knew. But before we get to that, I need to tell you about Pam Reynolds. 1991. Atlanta. Pam had an aneurysm at the base of her brain, the size of a golf ball, and the only surgery that could save her required killing her first. They cooled her body to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, stopped her heart, and drained every drop of blood from her head. Every clinical monitor said the same thing. No heartbeat, no blood flow, no brain activity. Dead. And then they brought her back, and she told them things she shouldn't have known. She described the bone saw, said it looked like an electric toothbrush. It does. She repeated conversations between nurses, word for word, while her skull was empty. For 30 years, no one could explain it. A brain without blood can't do anything. That's textbook biology. You lose consciousness in about 20 seconds. Brain damage starts at 4 minutes. Death by 10. So how was a woman with an empty skull seeing and hearing anything? That's what Borjigin wanted to find out. Okay, so here's what actually happens. Second 0. Your heart stops. Blood pressure drops to nothing. But your brain? Still running. It's got a little oxygenated blood left over. Maybe 10, 20 seconds worth. And during those seconds, you're still you. Still thinking. Still aware. And this is the part that got me. Those seconds might feel a lot longer from the inside. Seconds 20 to 40. Your brain starts going dark. The EEG flattens. Your neurons switch to emergency power, burning sugar without oxygen. And this backup mode, it's garbage. Makes about 94% less energy than normal. Your brain is running on fumes. But right as everything is shutting down, your brain does something no one can explain. It surges. A massive explosion of gamma waves. Gamma waves. They're the fastest brain waves you've got. They fire when you're deeply conscious, when you're dreaming, when you're putting pieces together. And in one of Borjigin's dying patients, gamma wave activity hit roughly 300 times her normal levels. 300 times. More than when she was fully awake. More than during the most vivid dream she'd ever had. Her brain was shutting down. And somehow, it was more alive than ever. And here's what makes it wild. All that activity wasn't random. It was concentrated in one specific region. Scientists call it the TPO junction. That's the temporoparieto-occipital zone. Big name. But what it does is simple. It's the exact part of your brain that handles consciousness, dreams, out-of-body experiences. The dying brain wasn't firing randomly. It was firing in the part that makes you, you. Minutes 2 and 3. This is where it gets ugly. Your brain's fuel is gone. Those tiny pumps on every neuron, the ones that keep sodium out and potassium in, the things that keep your brain cells charged, they're failing, one by one. Sodium floods in, calcium floods in. Your cells start swelling. Doctors call it cytotoxic edema. Basically, your brain cells are bloating themselves to death, and that triggers something worse. Scientists in Berlin documented it in 2018. They called it spreading depolarization, but I'm going to call it what it is, a brain tsunami. A wall of electrochemical destruction that starts in one spot and rolls across your entire brain. Slow, about 2 to 5 millimeters per minute. Each part of your cortex dies as the wave passes through it, not all at once. One region at a time, minutes 3 to 5. A chemical called glutamate normally helps your neurons talk to each other, floods the gaps between your brain cells. Way too much of it. Your neurons are being fired up over and over until they burn out. Scientists call it excitotoxicity, excited to death. And the parts that go first? The hippocampus, your memories, and the cortex, your personality. Remember that gamma surge from minute 1? The part where your consciousness center lit up brighter than ever? That was happening in the same tissue that's now getting destroyed. The thing that made you most alive is the first thing to die. That's not a coincidence, and nobody fully understands why. Minutes 5 to 7. And here's where it gets really unsettling. After you die, some parts of your brain wake up. A team at the University of Illinois found that certain genes, they called them zombie genes, actually ramp up after death. These are cells that were mostly quiet your whole life. But now, they start growing, sprouting long, arm-like tentacles through your dead brain tissue. They peak at about 12 hours after death. So the neurons that made you, your memories, your thoughts, your personality, those are the first to go. But these cleanup cells, they're thriving. They're feeding on the wreckage of what used to be your mind. For 12 hours, your body is dead. Your brain is dead. But something in there is still working. And if you think nobody's home during all of this, think again. Dr. Sam Parnia ran the biggest study ever on awareness after death. The AWARE study. Hundreds of cardiac arrest survivors across 25 hospitals. The results? About 40% of survivors reported being conscious while they were clinically dead. Normal brain activity was detected up to 60 minutes into CPR. An hour. Remember Pam Reynolds? Empty skull. No blood. No oxygen. No activity on any monitor. And she described that bone saw. Got every detail right. Now we know about the gamma surge. We know the brain's consciousness center fires harder during death than during life. We know awareness can last an hour into CPR. She wasn't hallucinating. Her dying brain was doing exactly what Borjigin's patients' brains did. It was processing. In 2022, Yale scientists pushed it even further. They took pigs that had been dead for 1 full hour, hooked them up to a system called OrganEx. The hearts started beating again. Brain cells, preserved. And then, the dead pigs started moving. Involuntary head and neck movements. An hour after death. Under a microscope, you couldn't tell the revived cells from healthy ones. Sam Parnia said something that stuck with me. Death is not a moment. It's a process. And that process plays out over minutes, maybe longer. You will go through this. Everyone will. And here's the thing that keeps researchers up at night. We don't know what those 7 minutes feel like from the inside, whether it's the most vivid experience of your life or nothing at all. We can measure the waves. We can watch the tsunami roll across the cortex, but we can't ask the dead what they saw.